We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for our community. Our ambitions must be broad enough to include the aspirations and needs for others, for their sakes and for our own. A powerful quote said by Cesar Chavez, a civil rights activist who fought to improve the working conditions, treatment, and pay for farm workers in the 1960s. He dedicated his life to help farm workers, the people who picked vegetables and food for the community to eat, who ironically didn't have any for themselves. Life was tough on Cesar Chavez when he was just a child in his early life, but he stuck up and did whatever he can do to help himself and others. Chavez was born just off of Yuma, Arizona on March 31st, 1927, and he was the second child of 5 children in total. A couple years later, his family had to move to California because they were evicted from their land and they had to leave everything behind that his parents worked about 50 years for. His mother ran a farm, grocery store, a garage, and a pool hall, while his father was a small farmer and a businessman. Once they moved to California, the family worked as farm workers and he had to work in the fields for about 10 years, moving up, down, and all across California. They worked in the fields from Raleigh to Mendota. Throughout the years, he realized the hardships of working in labor camps, such as the poor quality of them, the corrupted contractors, the small pay for the hard work they've done, and racism. As a child, he had to go to school, but it just made life harder. Chavez only spoke Spanish at home, but most teachers at school only spoke English and Spanish was not allowed to be spoken at school. Caesar had to attend to more than 36 schools because of his family moving everywhere in California. Just as he graduated the 8th grade, he dropped out to help his mother in the fields because his father was in an accident and was recovering. After that, he became a full-time labor farm worker. When Cesar Chavez was about 17 years old, he joined the Navy and served for 2 years after being discharged. In 1948, he married the love of his life, Helen Fabella, and they settled in Delano and started a family of 10, including them. During their honeymoon, they visited all of the missions in California in the name of education, since he didn't have a very good one when he was a child. Chavez worked as a ranch hand for 2 years, then he switched to a lumber company, but he was later convinced by a well-known community organizer to join the community service organization to help the community. After joining the community service organization, Cesar Chavez founded the National Farm Workers Association, or NFWA, in 1962 to help farm workers and their struggles. With the help of another organization, Agricultural Workers Organizing Committee, the two groups began strikes and protests against grape growers in 1965. On March 16, 1966, Cesar Chavez led a 250-mile march from Delano to Sacramento to gain attention and awareness for the cause of helping farm workers. Later that year, the National Farm Workers Association and the Agricultural Workers Organizing Committee merged to form one organization called the United Farm Workers, or UFW. The UFW called for the national boycott in 1967 and 1984 against grapes that come from California to convince the grape growers to get farm workers better working conditions and pay. For the cause, Cesar Chavez fasted 3 different times in his lifetime to protest the violence against the Union in America. The 3 dates were in 1688 for 25 days, in 1972 for 24 days, and finally in 1988 for 36 days. During the boycotts and protests, the Teamsters Union challenged the United Farm Workers for the right to represent farm workers by controlling the trucking industry, but they signed a peace treaty in 1973. The United Farm Workers worked hard to help farm workers and their hard work paid off. California passed a law called Agricultural Labor Relations Act in 1975. This law ensured that farm workers are given the right to organize and come together to start an organization or agency. Also, because of the actions of the UFW, they gained attention and support for their cause. Their organization made 28 of the largest grape growers in California, as well about 150 more signed a contract that they promised to make the working conditions of the farm workers a lot better. So overall, The United Farm Workers helped raise salaries and improve working conditions for farm workers in the states of California, Arizona, Texas, and Florida. But as always, humans and people can't live forever no matter how great they are. Cesar Chavez died at the age of 66 on April 23, 1993 in San Luis, Arizona, a town next to Yuma where he was born. More than 35,000 people attended the funeral of Cesar Chavez and they carried the casket from Delano to 40 acres for 3 miles. He now rests in King, California. Cesar Chavez came from the hardships of being a farm worker and he did whatever he can do so others don't have to go through this. He is seen today as a role model to young children in California and all across the United States, and this will continue to happen for generations to come. He will still be seen as the American hero for farm workers and people alike.